Okay, so what is actually taught at Lamaze? So there are 7 cornerstones. The 6 cornerstones changed to 7 cornerstones of the Lamaze method. They teach that birth is normal and natural, that the experience of birth affects women and their families, that women have inner wisdom that guides them through their birth, that women's confidence and ability are either enhanced or diminished by their care provider and their place of birth, that women have the right to birth free from unnecessary medical interventions. Birth can happen safely at home, at a birthing centre or at hospital, and that childbirth education empowers women to make informed choices and assume responsibility for their healthcare and to trust their inner wisdom. So this sounds great, right? It sounds just like something that women as midwives we would endorse. But remember that Lamaze is taught in many hospitals, so you can see how sometimes the Lamaze teaching is diluted or changed slightly depending on location. Lamaze has got the 6 steps for a healthy birth, which include letting labour begin on its own, walking, moving and changing positions, bringing a loved one, a friend or a doula for continuous support, avoiding interventions that are not medically necessary, avoiding giving birth on your back, and following your body's own urge to push. So you can see here that they've gone away from that he, hoo breathing, even when it comes to pushing. We're not talking about purple pushing or anything like that. And the things that aren't taught, there isn't a lot of nutrition taught about Lamaze. Lamaze is classically taught mid to late 3rd trimester. And so by that time, I'm guessing, depending on, and you'll understand this when you come to make your own childbirth classes, that the problem with childbirth isn't about what to include, but it's about what to leave out. So they made a choice about leaving out nutrition stuff and including more other stuff. They do include lots of different birthing choices. So choice of caregiver, choice of place of birth, choice of style. They include all of that kind of stuff. They cover breastfeeding information. They cover parenting information. And to be considered a true Lamaze class, there needs to be less than 12 couples and more than 12 hours of instruction. So you can see that even though there are a lot of places that call themselves Lamaze, they aren't necessarily Lamaze classes. Lamaze doesn't have any check once somebody's graduated with their qualification. So if they've gone through, if to be a childbirth educator, if somebody's gone through that method, then they can call themselves a childbirth educator. There's no continuous follow-up. You'll see that that's quite different when it comes to Bradley, when we talk about Bradley later on, and birthing from within and that kind of stuff as well. Lamaze is a lot looser with their kind of philosophy, I guess, once you've obtained the certification. So that's one of the critiques behind it, right, is that this Lamaze label tends to be used relatively easily. So just because somebody says that they're Lamaze or that they've trained in the Lamaze style doesn't necessarily mean that they're teaching the Lamaze philosophy. And that's a relatively big concern when it comes to you saying, oh yeah, there's a new childbirth educator in town, she teaches Lamaze, that would be great. You know, because we don't actually know what she's going to teach with that. Some of the other critiques kind of date back to Dr. Lamaze and what was happening in his era. Now, one of the things that he did, which is sometimes a little bit difficult to swallow, is the fact that he ended up rating women's performance from excellent to a complete failure, depending on whether they were calm or whether they were agitated or upset in labour. That doesn't necessarily have too much implication on what's going to happen to your client that's going to be taking a Lamaze, but it's interesting to know that this is where the philosophy came from. There was also this idea that that women who didn't achieve a natural childbirth, actually it was because of the fact that they either didn't practice enough or that they didn't believe enough, or, you know, if only they had tried harder they would be able to. And this comes from the idea, you know, you can see how in a little bit this can stem from the idea that fear causes pain, right? Because if you've got this idea that fear causes pain, and if you can relax, then you will have less pain, then it also the reverse tends to be held, although it's not necessarily true, that if you have pain, therefore you're not very relaxed and you just need to relax more, right? So it can be turned on its head, and we have to be really careful when we're teaching childbirth education to make sure we're presenting this information in a way that doesn't become blaming if there's a concern, or if there was a problem, or if somebody chose to get an epidural, or if, sorry about that, if somebody ended in a cesarean section. Lamaze is also considered out of date by people who don't necessarily realize that the breathing pattern has gone. So sometimes a lot of the critiques around Lamaze that you'll hear are actually kind of out of date critiques, people not realizing that the method has moved on. So that's important to know when you're hearing that kind of stuff. These are the main critiques around Lamaze. There's always more. So don't think that this is, this is all that there is. Especially in your assignment when you're looking for critiques, please kind of add your own in here as well. So that's Lamaze kind of in a nutshell. Please don't forget that we will be discussing this in class. The class is going to be aimed to be interactive. So it's not going to be me telling you about Lamaze. It's going to be you sharing your experiences. We're going to cover Lamaze and Bradley in this first class. And the idea is that you're going to share your experiences about what you've seen, or what you know, or what you've learnt when you've done the reading and stuff, and look through the website. So I look forward to seeing you then.